Point of view, it's 1945. You're working on the most secret project in human history, thinking you're building a better future. But behind the scenes, you've unleashed something that doesn't care about borders or walls. It doesn't kill you today. Nope. It waits decades for the perfect moment to strike. We're looking at the dark side of the atomic era. This is the lore of the silent ghost.
The world will note that the first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, a military base. We won the race of discovery.
In the 1940s, a new kind of ghost was born. It didn't haunt graveyards or abandoned houses. It didn't whisper or knock or leave footprints in the dust. It lived in the air we breathed and the water we drank. They called it ionizing radiation. It had no smell, no taste, no warning signs at all. But it could change your body while you slept. It could rewrite your DNA. While scientists at Los Alamos were learning how to harness this power, the rest of the world was being told a very different story. Imagine being one of the 130,000 people working on the Manhattan Project. You live in a city that doesn't exist on any map. Oak Ridge, Hanford, Los Alamos. You go to work every day, but no one ever tells you what you're making. You only know that it's urgent, that it's necessary. You're a small part of a $2 billion machine. To keep people from asking questions, the radio plays cheerful songs like Atomic Cocktail, catchy tunes that make the word atomic sound playful. Advertisements talk about atomic power as if it's a miracle. When the bomb is finally completed, the public is told it's a gift from God, the only way to save the world. It's a strange time to be alive. Patriotic optimism layered over a dread. Because the optimism is a mask. While Americans are buying starburst clocks and boomerang-shaped tables, something else is happening far from living rooms and kitchens. In the Pacific, early nuclear tests are sending radioactive fallout around the globe in less than a week. On tiny islands, children run outside to play in what they think is snow. They rub the soft white powder on their arms. They let it cling to their hair. Some of them taste it. No one tells them it's radioactive debris. No one tells them their bodies are already absorbing something they can't fight. At the Rongelap Atoll, the ash falls like a gentle winter dust. The children call it bikini snow. What they don't know is that this powder is pulverized coral and sea life, blasted into the sky by the Castle Bravo test. Within hours, children begin to vomit. Their skin burns. Their hair falls out in clumps. Years later, women on these islands give birth to what they call jellyfish babies, infants born without bones, with skin so thin you can see the darkness inside. Babies who can't survive outside the womb. This is the atomic age without the advertisements. Even American soldiers aren't spared. They are ordered to watch nuclear explosions with little more than helmets and short-sleeved shirts. They drink contaminated water. They breathe dust that once belonged to the earth itself. They're told it's safe. They're told they're heroes. But some know better. Muddy Waters sings about the morning the Big Bird dropped that awful bomb. Some veterans describe a flash brighter than 1,000 suns. When the bomb detonates, they raise their hands to shield their eyes. And through their closed eyelids, they can actually see the bones of their fingers. For one brief moment, the radiation acts like a living X-ray. They're told to turn away, not to look, but the ghost finds them anyway. It follows them home. It settles into their blood. It rides in their breath. There's a theory that the look and feel of the atomic age wasn't accidental. By turning the bomb into something stylish, something exciting, by using the word atomic to mean modern or impressive, the government made sure people would accept a nuclear world without pushing back. We were being trained to live with the apocalypse. Children practiced duck and cover drills in school, as if a wooden desk could protect them from a fireball hotter than the sun. Music helped keep the fear quiet. Slim Gaillard introduced songs in a playful nonsense language he called voot. Atomic cocktail sounded like something you'd order at a bar, a joke, a distraction. If the end of the world sounds catchy enough, maybe people stop thinking about what's coming. The bright oranges and teals of the 1950s weren't just design trends. They were a way to drown out the gray reality of fallout drifting across the sky. We're still living in the world that came out of that moment. The Manhattan Project didn't just create a weapon. It created a habit of secrecy, a culture of silence. It taught us how to smile while standing on a grave. The design style of the time is often called googie or populux. Bright colors, space-age shapes, optimism molded out of plastic and chrome. But look closer. Those starburst clocks aren't stars. They're exploding cores. The boomerang patterns on linoleum floors echo the flight paths of bombers. We surrounded ourselves with the geometry of our own destruction. We turned the end of the world into home decor. If you live inside the shape of the monster long enough, you stop being afraid of it. The secret cities themselves carry a quiet unease. In places like Oak Ridge, houses were prefabricated and identical. Alphabet houses, type A, type B, neat lawns, clean lines, total anonymity. Under the ground, though, something was changing. Scientists weren't only interested in weapons. They wanted to see what radiation did to life. They built what they called gamma gardens, circular fields with a radioactive source at the center. Plants grew weird and wrong. Flowers without petals, fruit shaped like tumors. They were searching for faster evolution. But what they found was decay, which leads to the hardest question of the atomic age. What happened to the things that didn't die? After Castle Bravo, wildlife in the Marshall Islands began to change. Land crabs grew unnaturally large, their shells pale and almost translucent. Birds were found miles away, feathers burned off, eyes clouded white. Fishermen spoke of catching things that shouldn't exist. Fish with multiple mouths, sharks with twisted spines. The ocean became a dark nursery for mistakes. The government had a name for studying these people and creatures: Project 4.1. The islanders weren't treated, they were observed, blood samples taken, skin reactions documented, suffering turned into data. To the men writing reports, these people weren't neighbors or allies anymore. They were case studies. The fallout didn't stay offshore. During nuclear testing in Nevada, winds carried radioactive dust toward towns like St. George, Utah. Residents were told the pink clouds were harmless, even beautiful, proof of American strength. Then the sheep began to die. Thousands of them. Lambs born with deformities no one could explain. Not long after, the children started getting sick. Leukemia rates climbed. Doctors arrived. But they weren't there to fix anything. They were there to count. The experiments didn't stop with the living. Under a program called Project Sunshine, the government secretly collected bones from deceased infants and children around the world. They were searching for strontium-90, a radioactive element that mimics calcium and settles in bone. Mothers buried their babies, never knowing part of them would be taken to a lab, sealed inside a lead-lined box. We used grief to measure contamination. The artifacts of the atomic age are still with us. Vaseline glass glowing green under black light, radium clock hands ticking softly in dark bedrooms. We invited the monster into our homes and called it progress. We were promised clean energy, a better future, power drawn from the sun itself. What we got was a neon graveyard. In the 1950s, children could buy a toy called the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab, a chemistry set that contained real uranium ore. It even came with a Geiger counter, so kids could listen to atoms breaking apart in their bedrooms. We taught children to play with death. The true horror of the atomic age isn't the explosion, it's the lingering. It's the way the ghost never leaves. It stays in the soil, in the milk, in the bodies of people born decades later. We're all, in some small way, children of the ash. So when you look at vintage advertisements filled with perfect smiles and atomic appliances, listen closely. Beneath the music, beneath the static, you can still hear it. The hum of radiation, the clicking of a Geiger counter, the soft sound of white ash settling on a Pacific beach. The colors are bright, the music is cheerful, but the ghost is still in the room.